Welcome back to Son of a Glitch, and here we are playing Metal Gear Solid. And we ask ourselves, just how broken is it? Well, when you consider the game can be broken with your very first actions, I'd have to say, yeah, pretty broken. By going under this pipe and then standing up, Snake will be placed on top of it, and then with a move like this, you'll be able to go through the wall and run out of bounds, which is essentially a huge dark void. And then you'll be able to antagonize the Genome Soldiers. Man, this just feels unfair. This glitch is known as the vent glitch, and is usually performed in, well, a vent. Seems obvious, really. Have Snake go prone at the entrance of a vent you can crawl in, and back him into the vent roughly up to his knees. Now go into first-person view with triangle and look up, then release those buttons and immediately press X to have Snake stand. If you do this correctly, Snake should now be standing up, but on the other side of the wall. This can be performed inside any vent in the game and is basically a get out of bounds free card. You'll now be running around the void outside the playable area, and here you'll be able to see how the spaces are constructed, and on occasion, you'll see other characters doing their thing. You're even able to activate loading triggers on the other sides of doors, which will take Snake to the related areas. These voids actually loop around on each other horizontally and vertically, so if you go far enough in one direction, you'll arrive on the other side of an area, which is pretty interesting that the game is set up that way. But the real reason we'd want to use the vent glitch is for one vent in particular down in the cell. When you use the vent glitch here, you're able to make your way around to the load zone for a room you wouldn't see until much later in the game. And this triggers the event flag for the very first time you enter the Medi room, which is immediately after the first torture sequence, which then places Snake in the cell you have to escape from. So, in a casual playthrough, this skips 5 bosses and a significant amount of the game, or about 20 minutes in an any % speedrun. So, it's a huge glitch that's incredibly simple to execute, or an oversight that surprises me this wasn't found during development. Moving on now to an interesting glitch which allows Snake to wrongfully equip weapons and leads to skips and hilarious shenanigans naturally. With rations equipped, throw a grenade close by and then lie Snake on the ground. Now choose a weapon you'd like to equip, and once the grenade goes off and Snake takes damage, quickly unequip the rations with L1 and at the same time press triangle to enter first-person view. In first-person view, mash different directions on the D-pad until Snake stands up, and if you've done everything correctly, you should now be able to equip a weapon like the PSG-1. However, the observant among you will have noticed that Snake is still holding the SOCOM. But this glitch allows us to do some pretty entertaining things. For instance, during the first Sniper Wolf fight, you're able to approach her without getting shot and pushed back. Now, it's important to note that whilst in this glitch state, you don't want Snake to press up against any walls or unequip your weapon, as that will softlock the game once you leave Snake's end of this boss fight. We can now witness some of the goofiest running as she tries to take aim at Snake but is completely unable to, which also results in this action, which is both disturbing and hilarious all at the same time. That does not look comfortable. We're also able to beat her with punches alone, which makes for a very anticlimactic end to something with music this epic. While this is kind of a dumb application of the glitch, it does in fact have some actual uses in a speedrun, namely skipping the Hind D and Sniper Wolf 2 fight. Skipping the Hind D fight requires we don't have the stinger in our weapons inventory, which you'll barely have if you perform the vent glitch to skip ahead, or if you played normally till this point, you'll have it, but it needs to be empty. Then you first need to descend the stairs in Comms Tower B until you reach the broken stairs, then perform the weapon glitch as you did before, this time equipping a chaff grenade. With the glitch in effect, switch to the empty stinger and then press and hold the weapon button to cook a chaff grenade. When it goes off, you'll see that what you actually did was throw away the stinger, and now this prevents a cutscene with Otacon and the elevator occurring, allowing us to climb Comms Tower B uninterrupted. Once you reach the top, climb the ladder up to the Hind D fight, but don't go through the door as the stinger is required to beat it. And we just threw ours away, which results in us being stuck in the fight, so instead just go back down the ladder. Now go back down the stairs until you reach these boxes, which it's possible to get on top of if you unequip any weapons and run down the stairs like this. Because of the angle of the stairs and the height of the boxes, Snake will be able to stand on top, possibly after a few attempts. But be sure not to go too far and fall off the other side, as now you'll be stuck stuck because the elevator isn't working, so be careful. If you are on the boxes, just have Snake walk off the left side and he'll fall down into this area which leads into the second Sniper Wolf fight and thus skipping the Hind D. To skip the second Wolf fight, just perform the weapon glitch as you did before, and then when in the glitch state, equip the PSG-1, you won't go into the sniper scope view, and now you'll be able to just run forward past the invisible wall which prevents you from approaching Wolf, and then the cutscene for beating her will begin. Now you can proceed through the game having skipped Sniper Wolf. Again. There is one caveat, however, regarding the Stinger in the fact that you threw it away to skip the Hind D fight and then skipped Wolf 2, so you still don't actually have it, so it's a good idea to backtrack to Comms Tower B to get it because you won't be able to beat Metal Gear Rex without it. We cannot talk about skipping things in Metal Gear Solid without mentioning one of the biggest discoveries in speedrunning the game in the last decade, Boba Skip. This glitch is pretty simple in nature, allowing players to skip the long Tower A climb by activating a loading trigger on the other side of this door. To accomplish this, we first need to reach the door with as little resistance from soldiers as possible, which is where the stun grenades come in very handy. At the beginning of the climb, throw a stun grenade into this room to trigger the alert phase so a cutscene doesn't play out, and then grab some more stun grenades and make your way up the stairs. You'll need another stun grenade ready to go on the 7th flight of stairs, which takes care of this guy, and then shortly after that, you should reach the door we're trying to clip through. Have Snake lean against the door and hold left to get him into the very corner of it, and then switch to first person view. Line up the left edge of the alert box with this seam on the wall like so, and then pull out and hold another stun grenade. If you've lined Snake up correctly, the stun grenade will go off, Snake will take damage and touch the trigger on the other side of the door, and then he'll run through it. Now the reason this works is mostly down to the angle Snake takes damage, but also the way Snake's damage animation affects his hitbox. Snake has two different animations for taking damage, and we want this one where he bends forwards and his hitbox extends backwards. This is how we're able to activate the trigger through the door and simply run through it. This skips the climb up Tower A and having to rappel down it to reach the other side of the door the intended way. Not bad for a major skip that was discovered completely accidentally by a casual player of the game. If you thought we were done with weapon glitches and skips, you'd be very wrong. This next glitch is a PC version exclusive, as in this version there are hotkeys assigned for each weapon using the number keys. Once you have the PSG-1, it's assigned to key 0, and we need another weapon key like the chaff grenades on key 9, which is conveniently right next to 0, to cancel out the animation of Snake equipping the PSG-1. So by pressing 0 and then 9 immediately after, it may not be noticeable, but Snake is now in a glitch state known as GME, or God Mode exploit. And there are two versions of this glitch. In this first version, GME1, Snake is now unable to take damage, which is obviously very useful, but there is a trade-off in the fact that he also won't be able to interact with objects such as buttons or ladders. You'll also realize you won't be able to open your inventories, but this is all simply fixed by going into first person view, and now Snake will behave as normal but still won't take damage. This is incredibly useful for some of the later encounters where you want to avoid taking damage, such as bosses. I mean, Raven is now a cakewalk where you just throw grenades at him until he dies. And when you want to restore Snake's state to normal, using the PSG-1 properly or entering a new area will lose the glitch's effect. But like I said, there are two versions of this glitch, GME1 and GME2. GME2 is activated by having Snake crouch, pressing 0 then 9 quickly, and then having Snake stand up. Much like GME1, Snake is still invincible but cannot interact with objects, triggers like doors or loading zones, and the camera won't transition along a path, staying locked to the current area. This is because where you activate the glitch is where the game will store Snake's position, meaning your movements aren't being tracked anymore. But this can easily help us get out of bounds by going through open doors and not having the loading trigger activate. So things like the Hind D skip mentioned earlier, which had a lot of steps, is now reduced to just using GME2 at this door, going through it, falling down to the left of it, and then cancelling the glitch to go through the door to the second Sniper Wolf fight. By going prone in this version of the glitch, you restore Snake's ability to interact with triggers but retain his invincibility. We can even use GME once again to skip the second Sniper Wolf fight. Seriously, it's like we'll do anything to avoid this fight seemingly. By going into GME1 with 0 and 9, hold 8 with the stun grenades, then keep tapping 9 for the chaff grenades whilst running forward, and you'll go straight through the invisible barrier and skip the fight once again. In some cases, like here in the blast furnace, activating GME2 in this doorway means that some of the wall's collision in this room doesn't load completely, and you're able to run straight through everything on the way to the exit. GME is an incredibly useful PC exclusive glitch, and basically the only reason you'd ever want to play this version. Bosses become very cheap to fight, but hey, we're the good guy, they should act right. Stop trying to take on the legendary Solid Snake, it's bad for your health. So, how broken is Metal Gear Solid? Well, for a game with Solid in the title, it falls apart pretty quickly. Thank you so much for watching, and a big shout out to all these glorious Patreon supporters who have been enjoying episodes ad-free and much earlier than channel release. There's just a $1 tier, and that gets you all those perks plus access to the official Discord channel, so I hope I'll see you there. If not, I'll see you in the next episode.